What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So how are voters going to react to the SNAP benefits being cut off? Some voters might say, you know what, this is good. This is what we want. Okay, some people actually voted for President Trump to get rid of some of these government programs. However, you're going to have people impacted by this. And it's not just going to be the people receiving SNAP benefits. It's also going to be stores, because stores are going to be impacted because that's less people coming in. And you have to understand, if you have a store, if you're taking SNAP benefits, that's not just free. You know, you're not just giving people stuff free. You as a business owner is actually receiving money from the government as a result of that. And so you're not going to be receiving that same money coming in. And so that's going to impact you, as well as you have a lot of children that are receiving SNAP benefits. And so they're not voters, but it will still impact them. And so this can have a negative impact on our economy, which is going to impact all of us. And so it's something that we need to think about. But I have a question. How is this going to impact the 2026 midterm election? How is this going to impact voter sentiment? Are they going to be very upset with this whole situation and vote people out of office as a result of that? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. If you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so first off, let's talk a little bit about who is being held responsible for this current government shutdown. So let's talk about that. Here we go. Okay, let's take a look at the top here. We'll read this really quickly. Multiple national polls conducted in September and October of 2025 show that most Americans place the primary blame for the government shutdown on Republicans in Congress and President Donald Trump. However, a significant portion of respondents continue to blame both parties equally. And then it goes on to say here, the following table summarizes the main results from leading polling organizations. Okay, so let's take a look. Quinnipiac here. So we have this poll that was conducted between the 16th and the 20th of October. And you had 1,300 voters. Now, it's not giving us more information as far as are they registered voters, likely voters. It doesn't give us any of that. But it does say 45% blame Republicans in Congress, 39% blame Democrats. Among independents, you have 48% blame the GOP and 32% blame Democrats. Okay, looking at another poll here. This is the AP NORC poll. And this was conducted between October 9th and 13th. You had 1,289, and we'll just say adults because I don't know if they were registered voters and all that. So we'll just say adults. Okay, so it says here about 60% of the people that were polled say that President Trump and Republicans in Congress have major responsibility, and then 54% saying that Democrats have major responsibility. So just looking at this, they're saying that Republicans have more responsibility than Democrats, if you want to look at it that way. The way it's worded is a little interesting. But Navigator Research, and this poll was conducted September and then early October. And we see here 48% blame President Donald Trump and Republicans, 26% blame Democrats, 21% blame both parties. And then looking at the last one here, this is a Marist poll, PBS NewsHour. We saw that was conducted between September 22nd and September 26th. You had 1,400 adults, and that says that if the shutdown occurred, 38% would blame Republicans, 27% would blame Democrats, and then 31% would blame both sides. So looking at this, you see that Republicans are carrying the brunt of this. They are the ones that are impacted the most. Now I want to take a look at some of the numbers we have when it comes to SNAP benefits. The first thing I'm going to look at is participation. So who's qualifies for SNAP benefits? So when we're looking at children under 18, we have 39% of participants are children under 18. Okay, and that amounts to about 16.4 million people. We're looking at adults from 18 to 59. That's about 42% of participants. That's 17.7 million people. And then seniors, 60 plus. That's 19%. And that's 8 million people. You see that the vast majority of the people, that 58%, might not be able to work. And that's why when people talk about, well, you know, they should be, you know, able-bodied people should be working, that could help. Yes, obviously it could help because that 42% that we talked about, they could be working. And some of them already are. I mean, there are situations, a lot of situations where people are working in a job, they're not making enough money, and so they still qualify for SNAP benefits even though they have a job, but you're not able to earn enough to survive, which is crazy in itself. Okay, but the question that I had, and what I really want to know as far as voter sentiment, and is this going to impact states? Is this going to impact states that are toss-ups right now, states that are, battleground states? And so I want to look at some of the states. We're going to go over a few different things here. But the first thing I want to look at is just overall. This is the overall number of people on SNAP. Okay, California, number one. Now, understand California has the largest population in the U.S., but we have 5.49 million people. That's 13.9% of the population. Then we have Texas, number two, at 3.46 million. That's 11% of the population. You have Florida at 2.94 million. That is 12.6% of the population. Then you have New York, 2.96 million. That's 14.9% of the population. Pennsylvania, 1.96 million, 15% of the population. Illinois, 1.88 million, 14.8% of the population. Michigan is 1.47 million. That is 14.5% of the population. Georgia, 1.36 million. You have 12.1% of the population. North Carolina, 1.38 million, 12.5% of the population. And then Ohio, 1.45 million, 12.2% of the population. And so if you look at this, you can see overall by population how many people are receiving SNAP benefits. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at it by percentage. And this is a rank from 1 to 10. You have New Mexico at number 1. That's 21.5%. Okay, and so that's 458,000. You have the District of Columbia number 2. That's 20%. That's 141,000. You have Oregon, 18.1%. That's 773,000. You have Louisiana, 17.5%. That's 804,000. You have Oklahoma, 16.9%. That's 692,000. West Virginia, 15.5%. That's 274,000. Nevada, 15.2%. That's 497,000. Pennsylvania, 15%. That's 1.96 million. New York, 14.9%. That's 2.96 million. And then you have Illinois, 14.8%. That's 1.88 million. Okay, now that all being said, there are some states that are trying to issue out money anyway. So basically, the federal government won't be sending the money for SNAP benefits, but some of the states they're going into their emergency funds, or they're trying to find money so they can pay these benefits out at least for 1 month. So let's take a look at those states. So you have Virginia, and it says Virginia here using state emergency reserves, and this was a directive on October 26th by the governor. Vermont front funding 1 month of benefits, and Vermont is hoping that they can be reimbursed for that. Louisiana exploring temporary state funding. Georgia will not issue November benefits, so Georgia's not issuing benefits. We have Alabama, they're not issuing benefits. Texas is not issuing benefits. Florida is not issuing benefits. Now understand, these are states, these are red states. So you have Florida, Texas, Alabama. You can even say Georgia's a red state. You can call it a purple state if you want, but these are states that are not, they're not going, so these people in these states are going to feel the impact immediately. And then looking at Oregon, they have contingency plans only. It says food banks supported, no EBT funding, so they're going to tell people to go to food banks, I would imagine. And then California has contingency plans only, no state fundings confirmed, and California, that's a blue state, so that can impact California as well. And remember, we're talking about voter sentiment. We're talking about people that are impacted by the fact that SNAP benefits aren't going out. So if you're not receiving your SNAP benefits, who are you blaming? Are you going to blame the Republicans because the polls are showing that? And are you going to go out and not vote for Republicans in the future? When it comes to the economy overall, will this impact the economy? I think it will, because you're going to have business owners that are not going to be receiving the same amount of money they were receiving before. And so they're not going to be receiving that same amount of money. And we're talking about millions of people all over the U.S. that are going to not have money to go and spend at these different places. Well, guess what? That's going to impact the economy. will voters look at that and say, look, bad economy, we're voting for the other person? Okay, now what we're looking at here is the combined political and social impact ranking. So this is the ranking of the states that will be impacted the most. Okay, now I asked AI this, and this is what they said. And this is ranked 1 through 10 again. Okay, Pennsylvania is number 1. So it's high population plus high dependency plus swing states. And so because it's a swing state, will these voters hold Republicans responsible? And then we have Nevada here. It says high dependency. It says critical 2026 Senate race. Okay, in 2026, there's not a Senate race in Nevada. Michigan, we have high participation, economic pressures in the region. Now, there is a Senate race in Michigan, so maybe that was mixed up there. Okay, Georgia, we have rising cost of living and then close election. So you do have a close Senate race there with Ossoff. So will that impact that race? New Mexico, highest dependency rate nationwide. And then you have West Virginia, extremely vulnerable, declining employment. Louisiana, severe poverty and rural impact. We have Florida, large elderly and low-income population. And then we have Arizona. It says key swing and multi-level dependency. And then we have Texas, high absolute numbers, large Hispanic impact. And so when we're looking at this and we're pulling everything together, I just wanted to show you, this is 270 to win. You have some vulnerable seats. So you have a toss-up here in Georgia, and Georgia is one of the states that was on the list. You have an open seat in Michigan. So that's another close race. That's a toss-up right now. And you have a seat in Texas, a Senate seat in Texas that's leaning for Republicans, but we have Paxton who is running in the primary, and guess what? Paxton's doing really well. And if Paxton beats Cornyn, then Paxton will go against whoever the Democrat is. And so we could see a very interesting race between Democrats and Republicans in Texas. I'm not saying that Democrats will win Texas, but I am saying if we start adding all these different variables when it comes to the shutdown, when it comes to SNAP benefits, are people going to go out and vote against whoever's in power right now? And so as a result of what we're seeing right now, we could potentially see major changes in the 2026 midterm as a result of the shutdown and the SNAP benefits issue. I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.